Today is July 27th, 2006. I am Jessica Clark. It is a pleasure to conduct this interview for the Dakota Memories Oral History Project in Regina, Saskatchewan, in Canada. To start with, can you please state your name?
My name is Mary Selinger.
Okay, and what was your birth name?
My birth name was Maria
And
Selinger.
How did you come by the nickname Mary?
Well, my name, Maria, is from my aunt, who was my godmother. Her name was Maria L. And I went to school and everything went Mary. So Mary it was. So when I changed it, after I went to the school here during the war, we had to change our name from Selinger to Selinger. And so then I changed my name to Mary, from Maria to Mary. So then now it's Selinger all the way through. But I answer to both. Selinger, Selinger, whatever you want to call me.
And
Mary or anything.
Where were you born?
I was born at Dilk on the farm, 7 miles north of Dilk. And January the 27th, 1923, I was born. And it was a cold day. And we had Dr. Schmidt from Holfast come down, and he stayed all night with Mom. Peggy and the rest of the kids had to go across the road to Uncle Leo's. And from there on, we grew up slowly. And got an older sister and an older brother and another sister. So Amelia is the oldest one, and then is John. And we had one sister, Catherine, who died. She was between Amelia and John. She died. She was only 6 months old. I don't know what her name was, Catherine, with a K. I don't know actually what she died of. She had some kind of a fever or something, and they couldn't control it, so it just went. Started, I think, in her leg, and it went to her heart, I guess so it was. That was it. So from what I understand, our older sister tells me that she looked a lot like I did when I was born. So it would have been two of us similar, tall ones. Two short ones, two tall ones.
So, where's your sister Catherine buried at?
She's buried in the Holfast Cemetery. Mm-hmm.
Can you share with us today some of your earliest childhood memories?
Well, I don't remember too many anymore. I'm getting a little bit old to remember a lot of those little things. I know I used to play around the yard a lot, picking flowers and that. And we be around with Mom and Dad a lot, and of course we play a lot with our neighbors across the road. These were all our cousins. They'd be over a lot, and we'd play in the sand. And when we had company sometimes, I even had a picture there. We making mud pies, water and dirt, and we made these mud pies, sitting on boxes. I remember doing that. And a cousin, Katie, used to come over a lot. She was the same age, only a month difference between us. So we'd spend a lot of time together, just playing around. And as we grew older, we'd play ball, and we'd go walking up and down the road and things like that. And I used to help Mom a lot in the garden. I used to do a lot of garden work, and I still like a lot of garden work. You can see by my balcony the garden work. So, yeah.
So, the garden that your mother had, where was it on the farm? Where was it located?
It was just in behind the house. They had a fair-sized garden, and we grew all kinds of vegetables, all kinds of flowers, and we always had enough to eat for the winter. Mom always canned it and put it away, and so we had a nice big garden just in behind the house. And then later on in years, it was moved over to part of the field. And then I can remember when we didn't rain, we had a little slough not too far away, and I had to carry water to water the garden. I remember doing that and hoeing. Yeah, gardening. I used to do a lot of gardening.
So what type of fruits and vegetables did your family grow in the garden?
Oh, it was corn, and it was peas and potatoes and beans, watermelon, sugar melon, onions, all that. None of these fancy vegetables, but the regular things to eat for the winter. We like that. So, yeah.
Did your mom do a lot of canning?
Yes, Mom did a lot of canning. Yeah, everything was canned, and we had a little cellar just below our house, and that's where everything was kept. You'll find that in our memoirs. You'll find it's all that is in there, and we had a little trap door in front of our kitchen stove in the little kitchen we had, and we'd have to lift that to climb down the stairs, and we'd get all our vegetables and stuff downstairs. We'd put our potatoes down there when we dig them out, and everything was kept in the basement because we didn't have a cool place or any of those sheds that they had with ice and everything else, and we didn't have one of those. So we just had to put it under the house, and that's where we kept it. But Mom did a lot of canning. And when Dad and our brother John used to go fishing across by the lake, they'd bring home the fish, and we'd clean the fish, and we'd can it. Can it. Oh, yeah. We'd can it. So I can't can everything because there was no way of keeping it any other way. There's no fridges, nothing cool to keep. So yeah.
Did you have a stream or a river next to you where you're...
No, there's no. Just a little slough of water would stay there, and that would be it. And when it was dry, then there wouldn't be none. Then we'd have to either wait for the rain or take it out of the well. We had a little well, but it wasn't a very good well. We had to go over to Aunt Katie's to get the drinking water. We had to carry it back and forth.
How far were your aunts from your farm?
My uncles and aunts, they were close by. Across the road was one, and then just next to them, it wasn't just walking distance, maybe a quarter of a block or something. And they was under the other farm, so everything was so handy. You didn't have far to walk. Wintertime, we'd get the dog and the sleigh, and we'd get him to pull the water home in the can, and oh yeah.
So with the canning process that your mom would do with the vegetables and the meat, did she also do canning of sausage or?
No, Dad used to smoke the sausages. Dad was a very good sausage maker, and when they would butcher, he would. I'd be out there. I know I'd be out there working when I have to, especially when they used to want to save the blood. Then we'd have to keep stirring that while they were butchering, while it was coming through. They have to keep stirring until so it doesn't gel. So yeah, I remember doing that. And then they'd have a big barrel if they were killing some pigs, and there'd always be 2 or 3 of the men that would be there, and they'd have to lift this pig up into this barrel in hot water and had to get all the hair off, you know. It was quite exciting when you were little, you know, to do all these little things. Yeah, I remember doing all that.
So you said your dad would smoke the sausage. Did he have a smokehouse?
Yeah, he made a little smokehouse. And then he'd have his wood or whatever he needed in there, and he'd smoke them for his day or two, whatever he had to smoke them. And Dad was a good sausage maker. He had a good taste for it. Everybody used to say, gosh, you just go to him and he'll or get him over when you're butchering, he'll make a good sausage, good taster. Like some people, they aren't as good as others, but he was good. And he liked doing it. So it was fun. And we used to have the thrashers come in, and I remember carrying Mom used to make the cookies, jam cookies, and the kuchen and stuff, and I'd have to carry it. We had the field in behind the house, which we had, and if the tractors were there, I'd have to carry the lunch over. And everybody got to have lunch 10 o'clock, 3 o'clock, twice a day I got to go carry it over. And it would be gone in just no time. Mom was a good cook. She was a good cook.
What were some of your favorite meals that she would prepare?
Oh, I liked the chicken noodle soup and the chicken. And she made noodles, different types of noodles and stuff. Just about everything we had. I like just food. I like food. Everything.
Was there anything that she made that you didn't like?
No. I can eat everything. Even raw oysters, if I have to. But if I don't have to, I won't eat them. But I like smoked oysters. But I liked everything.
What about sauerkraut? Did your mom
I
make
like sauerkraut. We made sauerkraut too. And we'd put apples in it, and we'd put cucumbers in it. We'd put watermelon in it. We put carrots in it. What else did we put in it? Yeah, it'll all go in layers. And it would be a big barrel or something that you'd have a crock. We'd have big one, those big ones, crock, glass ones. And they'd all be in layers, sauerkraut all the way through the thing. And boy, that used to taste good. Mm-hmm.
So what type of food would you serve sauerkraut with?
I think they had ham. Well, ham. I don't know what else you used to serve it with, but we ate it every which way, I think, pretty well. I used to like to, when they used to make pig's feet, the jellied pig's feet. And I even make them today. Every once in a while, I get into the urge, I want the jellied pig's feet. So I will do up the pig's feet. I like that. I think that's what they oftentimes, but with noodles and stuff, I don't know what you used to serve sauerkraut with. But I like it just as is.
So jelly pig's feet, how do you make those?
Oh, you just get the pig's feet and you cut it all in little pieces and you boil it until it's all nice and soft, and you add quite a bit of water, and you, when it's soft as you want it, then you pour it into a dish, and you add a little bit of salt or spices, whatever you want, just enough to make it tasty, and it'll all gel, get nice and firm. Just like jelly, you do jelly. That'll all set nice, just like jelly, nice and firm. We like it, don't we? Mm-hmm. One of these days I'm going to have to make it again. Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up on a farm?
It was nice growing up on the farm, nice and quiet. As I say, for our entertainment on Sundays, we'd walk to the lake after we'd been to church, of course, time we come home at our lunch. The afternoon, while you were free until evening chores started, then we'd walk down to the lake. It was only 2 miles, and we were young. We were there in no time, and played along the way, and then we'd go down and get into the water and come back home again and do our chores by 5 o'clock. And so it was fun. I used to like it, of course, with all our relatives around the area. We were always kind of together, and it was nice. I enjoyed it. And I think it makes a difference as you growing up on a farm. You know, yeah.
What were some of the things that you were responsible for?
Oh, when I was little. Well, we had to help out with everything. Not heavy work, but although, I shouldn't say not heavy work, I used to pitch a lot of bundles when I had to help with when they farmed. And I know Peggy used to have to help with the farming when we used to combine, and well, we didn't combine, we had um, what do you call it, machines, binders, and we didn't have any thing to tie it with, so they used to be the wheat would just come through on this box that Dad would have on the binder, and Peggy would be standing on it, and when it's ever so often she'd have to shove it off. Yeah, yeah. And till we got going, and then Dad finally got a binder with the string and the stuff, and to tie it, and then we had a stook. Had to make the stooks up. Mother and I used to go along with the behind and put the stooks up so they would dry. And then every now and then we'd stop off and have a drink of water, or we have our pail with our lunch in it. If we were hungry, we'd have our cucumber and our bread and our bun or whatever it was in it, watermelon. And we'd sit down and we'd have lunch, and then away we would go. And you know, when the wheat is cut off is high, while you know you had your boots on and your ankles would get all marked with sore, you know, with those things because you're walking through it all the time. Didn't have big boots on like they have today, these Adidas and everything else. Just had ordinary little shoes, and we have to use that. But I remember doing that, and then when the threshing time came, we had to help with all the chores, up getting the meals all ready, because you made big meals for the threshers, and there was always a group of people around to do. And many a time, especially on our own field, I would help my brother John. I'd have to get up on top of the rake, and he'd throw it up, and I'd have to set it. And I was only about 10, 12 years old, and I had to go and help him. Yeah, it was tough in those days, but you had to do that when we were little, different things. Yeah.
So you grew up during the Dirty 30s. What was it like at that time?
It was tough. It was tough. We didn't have much in the Dirty 30s. We used to no crops. We had no crops, and the crops came in 41, I think. And in the 30s, I know we didn't have much to eat sometimes, but we did get some apples and smoked dried fish from down east used to come in, and you'd have to go to town and pick them up, and that's what we'd eat. And what little bit we had on the farm that we were growing, that's all we used to have. So we were down and out in a lot of ways, but you never seemed to mind it, I don't think, at the time, because you didn't know any different. It was the way it was, and that you just put up with everything, and kind of just went along with it all. Yeah. But we used to get different things. And they weren't that bad. They were, I think the apples used to come from Ontario, and the fish came from down the East Coast. But we used to get that when we were on relief. Yeah. Had to go on.
So do you remember ever seeing a dust storm?
About what?
A dust storm? Do you remember?
A dust storm? Oh, yeah, we had a lot of dust storms. We had a lot of dust storms. A lot of whirlwinds. We used to watch them out in the field, come over to the house and around, and go right past. A lot of lightning strikes. It even hit the neighbor's barn one time, and I was out. I had to put the chickens under the little coop thing that Mom had to have for the chickens to go in, and I was under the clotheslines, and as that struck, it got me, part of me, but just enough to make me not feel good for about 2 days. It, yeah, just sort of with the lightning hitting so close, being under the wires, and I must have been touching the wires where the chickens were going in at the same time, and it was so close by. So Mom says, yeah, that's what it did. It just got you a little bit, but not enough. So yeah, but dust storms we had a lot, and we used to watch out in the fields where it would, lightning where it would hit, and they'd have to go out and they make out the fires if it started a fire. I know Uncle Leo's granary burned down in one of his fields one time. It hit, burned the whole thing down. Yeah. And yeah. Oh yeah. And I remember oh yeah, there's lots of little dust storms and thistles and all those things. We have all kinds. Pick them all the time. Burn them. Yeah.
So, when you were growing up, if you got sick, would your mom have any home remedies for the kids?
Yeah, they had a lot of home remedies. I was sick a lot when I was small. I missed a lot of school. But I used to take some kind of medication or something. I don't know what it was called anymore. Bottles of it, but I don't know what it was. Some kind of a blood for, I don't know. I don't know really what it was for. But yeah, they had all their own remedies now. But I really don't know just what they all were. Now I forget. But camphor was used a lot, and liniments were used a lot. Carbolic sap was used a lot, especially when the cows used to try and get out of the fence and they get caught, and they'd have to put, when you want to milk them, and they have scars on them, and you have to put carbolic on it to would heal faster. And to this day, I still use it. And camphor and all those little things, liniments, all kinds of liniments. I don't remember any other kind of source, but I know I used to, with Dad, what he used to do, and I used to have a lot of colds and get sick, he used to always put a bowl on the stove and put water in it and put some vinegar in it and then get it all to a boil and then wrap it around my feet. I always used to do that. I'd be in bed and need to, just as soon as it gets cooled off, you have another one to put back on. I know Dad used to do that a lot for me. Whatever was wrong with me, I don't know. But I think it must have been colds or not feeling good or something. So, but I grew up to this age. Here I am.
So, when you were growing up, was anybody in your childhood ever, in your family ever seriously injured where they had to go see a doctor?
No, but the dentist used to come to town, and we used to go to the dentist. He used to go over there every now and then, and the doctor would come, or go to the doctor at Holfast, and but I don't know of anybody that had to go to town besides to the dentist, or anybody that got hurt. I don't know. I know Dad had to come to the city. He had an appendix operation. I remember him doing that when I was small, but he was quite sick with it. So the neighbors would chip in and they would do our work for us, help out. And Mom used to get a lot of headaches and more or less migraine headaches. And Dad used to always put a cool cloth around her head to try and get rid of the headaches. And then finally she got rid of them. Eventually it disappeared. Yeah, but he used to do that a lot. I can remember doing that because he had that.
So you said you would go to the dentist. What would the dentist do if you had a toothache?
Well, yeah, he either pull it or fill it, I think at the time, yeah. We never did get to the dentist very much till I got to the city, and then I had to go to the dentist off and on. But in the country, they just came to town ever so often, and then when they came to town, then whoever had to go just would go over and get looked after. But as far as doing much more than that, I don't think they did anything more than that. Just fill them and pull them, one or the other.
When they would pull him, did they have anesthetic to help numb, or?
What did he do? Well, I guess they probably would put something on, freeze it, maybe a little bit of some kind. I can't even remember that. So, but freeze it of somehow.
What about eyeglasses? Did anybody have to go to the eye doctor?
Not that I know of. Mom used to have to come to the city and get her glasses changed, because she had glasses. She had poor eyesight. But other than that, I don't ever recall. I didn't get glasses myself till I was in the city. No, don't remember little. I don't remember anybody having eye problems when we were out and when we were little. I don't recall. No.
Do you remember who was the first funeral you attended?
My first funeral. Let's see, first funeral. I think first funeral we went to Aunt Rose's dad's sister when she passed away, and I was about 16, I think. And that's the first one that I can remember. Seeing her there with all their relatives around, but that's the only one that I can remember. I was about 16, I guess.
What were funerals like back then?
Well, they had usually the body and that, they were in the coffin, in the room, and they would be there for 2 or 3 days, and everybody would be praying for 2 or 3 days, and then they would just take them over into the cemetery, and somebody had already dug the hole, and then they'd just be there, and you'd walk there, and that's all I can remember about being in this funerals. But weddings, we used to like to go to weddings. We used to have different weddings we liked to go to.
What were weddings like?
Oh, they were a lot of fun. 2 or 3 days. Some of them, yeah. Yeah, they last a while. We go to quite a few. Well, everybody was getting married after a few years, but not when we were young. When we were real small, I don't recall too many when we were really, really small.
Can you tell me about the activities that would take place at a wedding?
Oh, there was always dancing and lots to eat. And of course, as kids, we'd be running around. I remember that. And yeah, that's about it. We'd all dancing and playing, and we all liked dancing. Everybody liked dancing. And singing, of course, that was a big thing. Everybody always sang a lot. Yeah.
So, in your family, how did they celebrate Christmas?
Well, we had a little Christmas tree, a little small one, with little candles on it, and very few ornaments, but it was just a little one. And the little candles were stuck in on the ends. And we would put out our basket for treats, and I would go over to my uncle's and see, he was my godfather, so across the road, Uncle Leo, and if I got anything, fine. But at New Year's, I would always go over, and I'd wish him a Happy New Year in German, a nice little verse. and then I would always get a dime or a nickel. So I would always get that. So, but other than that, but we'd have a good time, and the Belsnickel, you know what that is?
I've heard of it a
Yeah,
little bit, but can you tell me
he'd
some?
come on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, New Year's Eve. He'd come in. Oh yeah, it'd scare everybody. And kids were small, and we'd scream. I remember them coming in, dressed all up in the big winter fur coat or whatever they had on, and but then we'd have, of course, our turkey dinner and whatever we had, chicken, turkey, at the time. But we didn't do an awful lot. I don't recall doing anything extra. Christmas, but we'd get our little treats, peanuts and apples and oranges and a few candies and whatever there was to have had. But but I know I used to go for Christmas. If you get to your godparents, they'd have a little parcel for you with just goodies, cookies and candies and peanuts and stuff in. They'd have that.
Did you, was there midnight mass on Christmas Eve?
Yes, there was midnight mass on Christmas Eve, and that we used to go up there. We'd go to see Grandma L and Grandma Sillinger up there, and we'd go up with horse and sleigh, and Mother would heat up bricks and blankets. We'd be sitting in the sleigh, an open sleigh, and we'd be having to drive 10 miles to get there. It took us quite a little while to get there. And then we'd stay overnight. Dad would take the horses to the livery stable for overnight if we'd stayed overnight. Usually stayed at Grandma L's overnight. And then we'd come home the next day, but for Christmas Eve we used to go up there quite a bit. When we got to church in Dilk, I think we went mostly Christmas Day that I can recall. But I remember the first few years we went. By that time we had our old Model T, and then that's the one we used to sit in the back at the little truck part at the back, and away we go to town. Yeah, Christmas Day.
Can you tell me a little bit about Easter and how Easter was celebrated?
Oh yeah, Easter. We wait the Easter bunny. Yeah, I remember one year I didn't have anything to put out, and I said to Mama, I don't know, you haven't got any baskets or anything to put out for Easter, and she said, oh, she says just take anything and put it out, and maybe he'll come. So I took Dad's cap, and I set it out. And I thought, oh, let me see what happens in the morning. Sure enough, when I got up in the morning, it was full. Well, with Easter egg and a little Easter candy and them cookies. And yeah, that's what we used to have. And there was always, of course, going to church on Easter Sunday. That was always very much a must. But I remember doing that. I don't know what Peggy remembers anything about that, but that's what I remember doing. I remember that a little bit.
How about birthdays? Were birthdays celebrated when you were growing up?
No, well, not really. A little bit maybe. I don't think too much was done at birthdays. But a lot of these, Mom and Dad, they used to celebrate the namesakes. They used to, yes, they used to go visiting. Certain one would have whatever his name was, his namesake was okay that day. Oh yeah, everybody was coming. Of course, they'd all have their little drink. And of course, we had to just watch. We didn't get any but water. If we got anything, I don't think we got anything. But they always had a little bit of something for them. But they celebrate namesake. They like to sing and play and music. A lot of musicians in the Salinger family. A lot of musicians. all the way back to Russia, all the way back. In our history, it's a lot of mayors in town and a lot of church leaders in there, all guys that would head the choirs and stuff, a lot of them. And even in our ordinary relatives, a lot of musicians now. Not so much now. Yeah, the younger ones, they still do. We got quite a few that are still playing. We have one come every once in a while and entertain us here. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about July 1st? Would your family celebrate July 1st at all?
July 1st. I think July 1st. I don't think there was that much celebrating when we were young that I can recall of going to July 1st, unless we used to go to our picnics. That was usually our picnics for the town of Dilk. We used to go over there and they used to play ball and have ice cream, and that's about it that I can recall in there for July 1st. Really, it wasn't that much. We had just our June picnic, and that was it. Mm-hmm.
So, when you were growing up, were there any other holidays that were celebrated that I haven't discussed?
No, that I don't really. We never celebrated much in holidays when we were little. No.
Okay, I'm going to ask a couple of concluding questions about your childhood. What was the most adventurous childhood experience that you had?
I don't know. I don't know. We just there was nothing really exciting. We used to go berry picking Saskatoons. Dad used to drive us down to Grandview Beach, and we'd go berry picking. I can remember doing that as a childhood, you know. But that was an adventure. We'd go out. And other than that, I don't think there was much of anything when we were small. It was just a normal little life. We didn't have much of anything to doing. So, yeah.
And how about a scary time in your childhood? Do you remember something that was
Oh,
scary?
and it was lightning and thundering. Oh boy, that was scary. And no rain. Used to say, oh, well, it's getting all that thunder and lightning. That used to be scary.
Did you ever witness a tornado or anything like that?
No, not really. But we used to have a lot of whirlwinds and all those twirlers come around. We used to have a lot of that. Pick flowers, we'd pick all that stuff around. Oh no, we didn't have too much going on.
And how about a happy memory? What was one of the
Well,
happiest times in your childhood?
I don't know. I think they were all pretty good. We had good times. You didn't know that there was anything else going on, and you just made your own good times. And we had lots of fun, playing and running around with all our cousins, and that was always happy. Yeah, it was always good, small. They got good old days. Lots of things now you think you can remember that you did. Oh yeah, they were all okay. They were all nice to do at that time. You know, you didn't know any different. Yeah.
And is there anything else about your childhood that we haven't discussed yet that you'd like to share with us?
No, yeah, I ran right into the back of a horse one day playing on my bike or whatever I was pushing along. I ran into the horse. I got kicked. Poor horse didn't know what was happening. I did that when I was little. I don't know, I was pushing something along, must have been a little wagon or something, and ran right into the back of the horse because I forgot he was there. I forgot he was there. Oh, well. But I wasn't too hurt. I was hurt a little bit, I guess, but I didn't get kicked too hard, poor horse. Then I used to ride on the horse, fall off the top of the horse. Oh, yeah, lots of different things. Who knows? Different things you forget from now on. Poor little Queenie, she stopped, and I guess she was going to step in a hole or stopped, and over I went, down I went, and then I couldn't get back up because I didn't know how to get back up. So I had to walk home with her. So,
How far were you away from home?
oh, not that far. Maybe a quarter of a mile. It wasn't that far.